Hey guys, I know you can hear my voice, but you can't see me. Like, where is this beautiful, beautiful man? Anyway, hi guys, my name is Paulo. I am the voice from above for today. Uh,
It's too much.
yeah. The premise of this episode is to have an all-female cast in a sense, right? So that's why you don't see me there, but you can hear me as what background noise, because that's what men are for today, just background noise, right? So today's topic is a bit serious, and it's derived from the serious cases of child development that's been happening in the country, like the past couple of months, which is like pretty bad. And we thought, no, we should talk about it. So on today's episode, we have to your left, your left, because I'm sure you can see. I'm looking at the camera. So yes, on the left we have Nomoa Siwale, aka Wesa. Say hi.
Hi
Say hi.
again.
Yes.
Hi again. Hello
Right. What are you?
again. I'm joking. So yes, like he said, my name is Wesa. I'm a medical doctor, currently unemployed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to my right we have Chibale. Hi Chibale.
Hi, I'm Chivale.
Who are you, Chibale?
I am also a girl. Um,
I'm just a girl in the world.
exactly. But I'm also just passionate about children's rights.
Yeah. Anyway, you won't be hearing much of me this episode, so bye, guys and ladies. You can take it away now.
Okay, so nice to meet you, Esa.
Nice to meet you, Chivale.
Nice to have you on today's episode. Thank you to the Shimi podcast for having us. So first and foremost, we need to understand what it is that we're talking about today. So according to you, Wesa, what's defilement?
Okay, so defilement, to my understanding, is any sexual activity towards a minor. So this can be penetration, this can be inappropriate touching, this can be exposure of, like, let's say, pornographic content, or just genitals to a child, or exploiting a child for benefits, like making them child prostitutes, making them film pornography, stuff like that.
Okay. And how often do you think you see such cases?
I think for the past month, it's just been everywhere. Before, yes, it was still a problem, but I think like the past month's been crazy. Like it's everywhere. A dad did what? This child who children are coming to the hospital pregnant. Like it's just crazy.
That's crazy. When you say children are coming pregnant, like that's what age?
Like maybe like 14-year-olds, stuff like that. Yeah. But I think, yeah, mostly I've been seeing lots of people coming out on social media, lots of cases on social media the past month or 2 months. Yeah. Other people are saying it's becoming a pandemic. Like every time you go on social media, you see someone's being defiled or a child. Yeah.
So do you think there's actually been a rise, or do you think people are just reporting it more now?
I think people are just reporting it more now, because you find that when you talk to a lot of people, I think I saw a TED talk. There's this lady, she usually starts her podcast with asking like, how many of you saw abuse as a child or know someone who was abused as a child, and most everyone stands up, and then she'll ask how many of you know if they reported the perpetrators, or how many of you actually did, and less than 1/3 of people will still be standing in the audience. So I think even interacting with people, like people never really come out. So I think it's a problem and it's there. And I think people are just coming out more.
Okay, which is a good thing.
Yeah, no, I think people are coming out more because they feel supported. And like before, I think that's why they're able to come out, and they see other people coming out and they're coming out. So in as much as it's disturbing, I think it's also a good thing that people are coming out, that we're hearing about these cases. They're not just rumors and what. Yeah.
I saw one of the causes of the rise is that there's low conviction of the perpetrators. How true do you think this is?
What do you mean by conviction of the perpetrator?
Like the same thing that you said, like people don't really feel supported.
Yes, they don't really feel supported because I'm sure like you have friends or you've grown up with people and you kind of ask like, why didn't you say anything? And it's like that how people would react, Especially I think in family settings you find that the person they'll be protecting is the person, the abuser. It's like, no, we've heard you, but your uncle, no, you destroy the family, like it's your fault. Or they'll start asking you questions, hey, what were you wearing? Did you put yourself in a compromising situation? Things like that. So I think for children especially, it's hard for them to come out because they don't feel like people will take their side or people will believe them. Yeah.
I actually read a case that's similar to that one, the one for the orphanage. Have you heard it?
Which one? Which one is that one? I think
So
I've read so many.
there's an orphanage in Lusaka, Chadley area, I think, where the owner of the orphanage is a bishop at some church, and then he was apparently allegedly raping. Allegedly. We don't want to be sued. Allegedly raping the children there. And then they tried to open up to the wife of the bishop, and then she beat them. And she's like, no, you're going to ruin my husband's reputation. So they couldn't speak up until I don't know who went, but someone went there, and then they managed to tell the person, and then now it's been shut down.
Yeah, and stuff like that happens a lot, especially like in homes. Children are very vulnerable, and like adults who can speak up and what they need to feel like they'll be safe if they say something. But what usually happens is they'll get despised, they'll be blamed, you are coming on, you are lying. And, to some point, you're just like, they're not going to be supported. Like, I think I've tried to reason with it. I've tried to understand like, okay, this is your husband, right? You're married, what? And then some kid is like, no, your husband raped me. And yeah, in the moment, like, yeah, maybe it could be your niece or what. It's a tough blow, as in also for the partners, obviously, but I think it's still their responsibility at the end of the day to take the side of the abused because they are more vulnerable. And it's not an easy thing to say.
Yeah.
Do people lie about these things? I rarely think they do. That's such a crazy thing to be like, your husband raped me or this elderly person raped me. So yeah, I think that's the biggest cause.
So what are some other causes that you've identified or
I think even from our conversation, I can remove a bit, like you said, a power dynamic, like depending on the relationship with the child, either someone who has like some authority over the child, like a teacher or parents or uncles, just older people that manipulate their position in whoever this is his life, because it's like they're able to manipulate the child, maybe say, I've noticed when they're explaining these cases, they're like two type of children. There are children who are like, okay, they're all being forced, but there's also like children, they're told, no, this isn't a bad thing, this is okay. And they're still growing, they're developing beliefs, their sense of right and wrong. So it can be very confusing for them. And you find that they're exploited during this time. And some of them are just told like point blank, like, if you don't do this, there will be consequences. You'll be put out, which brings me to another like case, which could be like poverty. Like, people aren't doing very well and what, and people who have the power or superiority, like they have money, they control that dynamic and they coerce these kids to do certain things because it's like, no, I'll take care of you if you do this, or I won't take care of you if you do this, or you know.
So do you think that happens usually maybe with parents or like uncles? Maybe you've been sent to live with an aunt who's taking care of
Exactly, like you're
you.
from a less privileged home, you're at your uncle's place, they take you to school, what? And then he's like, no, if you stop doing this, I'm going to stop paying your school fees, and you can't afford certain things. Maybe he's taking care of you and your mom. You know, your mom's not going to let you.
Yeah.
That's one.
So you won't
And
tell
you're
your mom.
so you're like twice as vulnerable.
That's scary.
That is scary. Like, you can't come out because what are you going to do? Like, now everyone's going to starve and it's your fault. And, you know, everything is just your fault. And it's really sad because I think I hear, like, you know, because I watch like a lot of short videos. I like, what do you call these things?
Which ones?
These,
TikToks?
no, not
Shorts?
TikToks. Movies based on people's real lives, or yes, I
Documentaries.
love documentaries. So like some of the ones I watch, you find that people usually do like blame themselves for being in like such a circumstance, and when they come out,
Really?
they usually feel like they've broken their home and they share the feelings they struggle with, and it's usually, you know, I'm the person at fault, you know, they make them feel responsible. Yeah, so I think a power dynamic is very like important.
Do you have any more causes?
Um, well, I don't know if this, but maybe social media and internet content, right? Because you also want to now get in the mind of like, you know, anyone who would just look at a child in a certain way is definitely sick. Like, there's no question about it. So, like, how do these people even get there? You know, like, how do you just look at a child and have sexual thoughts? And I think it's got like something to do with things people watch and see on the internet. Maybe the
These weird
pornography they
fetishes.
view, it feeds their fetishes. They're constantly looking at these things, they're feeding their mind these things, and they convince themselves they want these things sometimes. That's what I think. Yeah, and then you find these are the weird people that will takes children on social media, meet them up, and just, you know, children who are getting kidnapped, no children are missing, what? Yeah, I think it goes to that extent. Like, the internet is a good tool, but I feel like it also has a way of influencing like someone's mind based on what they're viewing and stuff like that.
What about this new one that seems to be popular nowadays, like bad cultural practices? Like I heard about a case where a man had a sick daughter, she had cancer, and he was told that if you sleep with her twice a week, she'll be cured.
Some of these things, like, I think it's very easy to be like, that doesn't make sense, you know, but I've seen how desperate people get when things aren't going their way health wise. Like, when I was a student under pediatrics, right? I'll give you an example. A lot of parents, if they feel like we're not doing a good enough job or their children aren't picking up, you would find they would want to resort to going to see a witch doctor, or, you know, just something else, something radical, because they were like desperate. And, you know, it's like a huge cause, because who is telling these people? The people who's
And
the
why are they believing?
exactly. I think they believe because they're desperate. It's also
They
their
need
fault
something
for
to
being
believe in.
ignorant. But even the people offering this as advice, like,
What
yeah,
are
no,
they
my daughter
gaining?
has cancer. No, if you just sleep with her, it's going to work. Because I think some of the cases that have been coming up is also, no, HIV. People with HIV are sleeping with like younger children,
Or that
their
it will cure
daughters.
them. I've heard that.
Exactly. And that's crazy, because it's not medically correct, it's not ethically correct, and people shouldn't be, you know, desperate. I'm not saying that they're right, but desperate people shouldn't even be hearing these. Like, people shouldn't be telling them this, like it's an option and stuff.
What about child neglect? Do you think that's a cause?
I think it's a cause in a special way. So, like, I think when you neglect a child, right? Like, this is a child under your care, and you don't care what time they're coming home, what they're wearing, what they're doing. You have no compassion for them. as soon as, let's say, someone else gives them that compassion and they're asking for something in return, that might be the situation. Like they're neglected at home, they don't feel loved, they don't feel understood, they don't feel heard. And you find that these people with this weird fetish for children, they're there, they're giving these kids attention, they're making these children feel loved and what. And you're not even paying attention to the kid, they're just doing what they want. I think it can also be like a cause of defilement.
So preying on their vulnerability, basically.
Exactly, because they'll be like, no, I love you. This is what people who love do, stuff like that. And then, yeah,
That's scary.
that is scary.
So, how do you think we can protect our children from situations like teachers or like strangers?
It's a tough one. And I think there's like 100 things we can start to do. One of them being communication, right? So I think children should feel safe. It's an uncomfortable conversation to have, to be honest, with your child. Like, if someone touches you there, tell me. If someone does this, tell me. But they should also be able to feel like if they told you, they would be supported. They should know that this is wrong. This
shouldn't
isn't
be
right.
happening.
Exactly. And if you teach them that, I think it goes a long way, because the confusion happens when children don't know right from wrong, and they're scared to come out because they won't feel supported. So it's like, no, uncle, you're not supposed to be touching me there. Or if it does happen, it's like, auntie,
Uncle touched me
mom,
there.
uncle touched me there. He did this thing, and they'll feel uncomfortable. I think they feel uncomfortable either way, but right away, because they know that
This shouldn't
it's
be happening.
a wrong thing. Yeah, I think that's one of the things, paying attention to them, their behavior, because when such things start to happen, also there's certain behaviors that will start happening. Maybe they'll be more kept to themselves, or just noticing what's going on in the life of the child. I think it's just being there in every possible way that you can. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think?
I agree with you. I think we all kind of want to protect the innocence of children. You don't want them to know that certain things happen, but if they don't know that these things happen, they can't protect themselves, and they can't know not to let these things happen to them.
Exactly. And you
Yeah.
can't be there all the time.
Yeah, you can't be there all the
unfortunately.
time, in as much
Yeah.
as we'd like to. I remember Zendaya said something like that. She said, one thing I'm grateful for my parents for is the fact that they always showed me all the things on TV. Like, they weren't like, oh no, this is not for children, you should stay inside. They're like, no, you need to know what's happening. So I think even in Zambia, that's not something that we like to do. Like, having these tough conversations with our children, like, oh, it's not something that we do, but I think we should start.
I think so. And I know it's very uncomfortable, especially for like
is.
Zambian parents to sit down and talk. Because I think like my parents only talked to me when I was like going to university. Like,
Really?
exactly. Like, it's like, oh yeah, sex is real. And I'm like, yeah, I figured that out.
I'm aware.
I'm aware.
I think I was a bit lucky because my mom is a nurse. So these are just like when I was like 9 or 10, she started having these conversations with me, like, so you're growing armpit hair now. That means, and I'm like, I'm only 9, but okay. So yeah, I think I was a bit lucky. Okay, so popular cases that. Okay, which cases have you heard of recently? Maybe that made you think,
I think most of the ones I've been reading, I actually read one today. It's the one that's still fresh in my mind, the one that I brought up earlier for that man who defiled the 1-year-old. I think it was in Lusaka. He had HIV. He was arrested. Yeah. And I keep seeing stuff like that. So I think for me, like, it keeps popping out. And I think, the people reporting the incidents, they're very particular to put like HIV.
so why is that? Like, he knew he had HIV?
I think so. I think it's how, when we're talking about like the bad cultural practices that he might have been like trying to get with the trend of, oh no, this is how you get rid of HIV.
Okay.
Maybe it's an assumption. I'm not sure. He could just also just have HIV and
And be a
and be a terrible
pedophile.
person. I mean, these could be mutually exclusive events, but yeah.
I saw one for Danny something something. He defiled his 40-year-old daughter. 40. We'll start that part again. Okay, so I know one about Danny something something. I'm not sure what his last name is, but he's 40 years old, and then he was defiling his 5-year-old daughter. So they used to live in the Copper Belt, and then that's when it started. And when they went to Lusaka, I think that's when she kind of knew, like, okay, this shouldn't be happening. And then she reported it to her mom. So that's one of the cases that I saw. Oh, and then he used to threaten her. He
The
told her,
child.
yes, like afterwards, he'd be like, no, if you tell anyone, I'm going to kill you.
And that sounds like a real threat. I can imagine someone 5 times my size saying, you say anything, I'll kill you.
And that's your father telling you that. That's really scary. Oh, I had a question. So, like, when they report these cases, what's the procedure at the hospital?
Okay, so when they report the cases, usually they have to do like medical, so that's a physical checkup, and they also do like swabs. So under the physical checkups, they're going to check all the body parts, including like the vagina and the anus, especially, but they'll check for bruises, either like old bruises, new bruises, to see signs of struggle. Then
So, how fresh do the old bruises have to be?
it really like depends per person. Some people heal like really fast. Some people can keep like even old bruises, like you can see like, oh, this person was hit maybe last month or what. But people heal. So it's a bit difficult when they come much later, right? Because like, yeah, people could just be like, no, it was just assault, it was just discipline. So when you check,
Oh, that's the person defending themselves.
exactly, like I was
Okay.
just disciplining the child. You know
Okay.
how our culture is. But yeah, so you check the whole body, then you check specifically by the perineum for like bruises, swelling, but like just proof of penetration, right? Or like fissures by the anus in case like, because they're children. So when this happens, it's like very traumatic, you know. Even it happened like a while back, you might still notice bruises, cuts, because it's usually forced.
Okay.
Exactly. So, yeah, they just do a thorough physical checkup. They talk to the child as well.
So, like, are you trained to talk to the child if you see that has happened?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I have
Why
a
did you say
flu.
it like that?
I have a flu and I was trying not to cough. I was like, oh, yeah, counseling is also like part of like what we learn at school.
Okay.
Yeah. So in that case, you have to be gentle. You have to go at the pace of the child. You have to ask questions. Like, I think a very important thing in medicine is not to give patients words. Like, you don't ask, no, were you raped? You kind of ask what happened. So you get like a non-bias. You probe. And you
Okay.
try to probe very gently and very calmly, because like I said, they have to feel calm. They have to feel like they can trust you. Usually when you're doing this, they look to whoever they come with for like some form of reaffirming, like, oh, what happened? And they're with their mom, they'll kind of look at their parent before they say anything, maybe to catch something on their face, like, is it okay for me to say? Should I say? You know. Yeah, you just ask questions. No, does it hurt? When did it start to hurt? Like, why do you think it's hurting? Stuff like that. Yeah, does anyone touch you anywhere? I know, like, I've never seen it done before, but like, I know you're supposed to, like, since it's a child, I know it's a much gentler approach. You're supposed to have, I know they have it in most psychiatric hospitals for like PTSD children, for rape and what, but they give you like a naked doll They kind of just ask you like where, like you can touch on the door, where did it touch you, what, because children are like more comfortable with doors and what, but it's just trying to get them to comfortably tell you what happened. If they can't, you just also try to see how the child is reacting when you say certain things. Yeah, and then you just write down. Yeah.
So, like, if I'm a concerned citizen and I notice, okay, this child is acting weird, how should I approach them?
How should you approach them? I guess first you have to earn their trust because, like, I think, like we said earlier, like in their heads, like their whole life will come crumbling down if they say anything. So, hi, how are you? It depends on how close you are to them, right? Like, are you a neighbor? Will you never see this child again if
Why
you
is that
leave?
important?
No, because if it's like that, then it's more urgent with how you like. It is urgent if you know a child is being abused. You need to find out as soon as possible, but you need to make them comfortable enough to tell you. You need to tell them it's wrong. You need to
Okay.
tell them that they are right. You need to tell them they didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. Or if, children are children, if they're still scared, if they're still stubborn, if you can't get it out, you talk to a parent or someone that they know and tell them what you might be suspecting. If it's still looking suspicious, even how she doesn't want, as a concerned citizen,
You go to the
you go to
police.
the law enforcement. There's nothing you can do, but I don't think because, it's very hard to let someone in like that, I think.
Yeah.
And just because the child isn't responding, I don't think that's
Doesn't
reason
mean it
enough
didn't
for you to
happen.
leave it alone and leave that child there. I think it'll always be on your mind. So you might as well just report. If there's nothing, there's
Then there's
nothing.
nothing. At
You
least you
know.
tried.
Exactly. If there's nothing, there's nothing. If the police go and they find out something, that's okay. Yeah.
So, what are the long-term impacts on these children who are sexually abused?
What up before
The background noise.
it's me. It's me. Oh, yeah. Hey guys. Sorry for adding background noise. It's shaky here. Sorry for adding background noise again, but we're going on a break because we've elapsed our time for session 1. So we shall be going into session 2. Say bye for now, guys.
Bye.
For now.
For now.
And the voice from above returns to bring you. Where's the spice?
Oh, what? Where's...
I was thinking of like the Spice Girls situation. Where's the spice?
Where's... But I don't get it. What am I supposed to respond? Why is this called the Shimi podcast? I've been meaning to ask.
Kushimika.
Oh,
I thought it was like Shimi.
Nah.
No, okay.
I know people do things like this sometimes, but I mean, it means whatever you want
So
it to
it's
mean.
Bemba.
It's Bemba.
I should have known. My bad.
Guys, we're from Kitwe, so we have to represent.
Represent.
Rep the couple. Rep the couple.
The coupler.
Rep the couple.
They won't be happy if they hear you saying it like that.
They would deny you. If there was like a Kopala card, they would have taken yours.
Yes. Immediately.
Yeah. And Chips? Can I call you Chips?
No, you can't.
Okay, damn.
No, you can.
Like
I'm
when you
joking.
put your name, they call you a Chichi.
Chichi.
Ba.
Chichi
Lay.
Spice.
Ballet.
Ginger spice.
Yeah, Ginger Spice?
Yes.
You are?
Oh, you need to
She's also
pick a
ginger spice.
Oh, I guess so, yeah. Or ginger spice.
Okay,
Ginger
Ginger Spice
Spice.
great, I guess. Take it away, Ginger Spice.
Okay.
Says Ginger Spices.
Okay, so what were we talking about? Oh, it's the impact. So what are the long-term long-term what? Repercussions.
See, I went to private school.
It's showing, finally.
Yes. So what happens to these children?
I think there's a lot of things that could happen, right? And it doesn't happen to everyone, but there's lots of things that could happen. One, the child could have an unwanted pregnancy, Hear stories, no, someone got pregnant for their dad, no, someone what. So that could be a thing. They could get STDs, STIs, um, based on like what age they started being raped and like how they were raped, if it was anally or what. They could have like anal fissures, or they could have
So what are anal fissures?
no, sorry, they're just like sores like around that go like this way and that way, and depending how far it goes, because like the space between your anus and your not anus is very short. So if that
You're not anus.
if that whole part gets ripped, it's kind of hard to have it fixed. So you find people are soiling themselves. Those children, they're always wetting their beds, they're always soiling themselves, and then they just have like this long-term condition where that happens. Yeah. Yeah. So
And then psychological, right? So dark. Wait, when it gets ripped, is it like for the way it happens to women
when they're
when they give
pregnant,
birth?
yeah.
Hey, baby.
A baby, yeah.
Mm.
Depending on the force, the what. Sometimes they could even get like infections that could also like cause that.
So apart from physical ones, what about is it psychological?
Yeah, it is psychological. Um, Post-traumatic stress disorder could be one of them. Depression, anxiety. There's like a long list of things that could like happen. How they relate with other people might change. How they view sex might change. I know two dramatic things happen. Either they will be very sexually inappropriate for their age, like they'll be out there, they'll, you know,
Oh, okay. That's
quote
interesting.
unquote loose. Another thing is they
So
could
that could be
be
because of what happened to them.
exactly.
Okay.
They could get some form of weird affirmation from that, just wanting to feel in control. I think that's a thing,
Okay.
like, like I do this because I want to do this. I think that's how some people process it. For some people, sexual relationships might be tough moving forward. Even being touched by men, being near men, it makes them,
And women.
and women. And women, yes, because it's not only girls who are
Unfortunately.
unfortunate enough to be defiled. Yeah. So they could exhibit like those behaviors. And yeah, it could like alter their lives. Like life is already tough as it is. And now you have like this to deal with, like your body processing the stress and trying to navigate like the best path for healing on its own. Especially if you don't have help, I think it can be very tough, because I think everything your body will do psychologically is to protect you or kind of give you some peace. You're anxious so that if you feel like it's about to happen, you avoid it, right? You just have an avoidance thing. And if you're coming forward, what you're
Oh,
just trying
okay.
to protect yourself mentally and physically. And it's not a bad thing, but it doesn't help with daily life to life things. Like you can't be anxious about seeing men when you're in the world, because you have to see
Yeah.
men.
Because they're everywhere.
Yeah, if you're going to be someone who wants to settle down and get married, you have to
Talk to a man.
exactly and be intimate with
Yuck.
them at some point. And then if you have this anxiety, it just makes everything harder than it should be. Yeah, but I think those are some of the things off the top of my head. But you can share with me like what you think or what you've seen.
I think mostly the one that we know is PTSD. Yes. And I think the way it manifests itself also is different for different people. Some people even just like I have like male friends who just don't want to be touched at all, and you're like, what happened to you? Like, why is it so like they even get jittery? So I think that's the main one that I know of. Or like children who they used to be so bubbly and they were so full of life, and then all of a sudden they're quiet, they're introverted, and you're like, what happened to you?
Just shut down.
Yeah, like used to be the life of the party. I think that's a very sad one.
Yeah. I think it disturbs things like learning, aspirations. I think the way people look at themselves also changes, because it's like you feel like, oh, maybe you're not good enough. No, maybe what? Because you always have this baggage that other people don't
And
have.
see.
And people have expressed, like in articles and what, that's how like they feel when like they are opening up. Like it's a very gross piece of their past, or you find people don't want to come out because they don't want to be viewed in a certain way. You hear statements like, no, I don't want to be the girl that was raped or the girl that was molested. I just want to be myself. I think it's been there with like some celebrities. I think anyway, I won't mention it, but like there's a certain children's show we all grew up watching on Nickelodeon. Then a lot
Oh,
of
I
them
know the
came out,
show.
but one very popular person will not come out, and she's never given a statement, and I don't think she ever will, because
No,
she
she won't.
doesn't want to fit in that narrative for I was raped or this happened to me, because it's identified with a certain kind of ugliness. I think because it's like, you look at it and you're like, yuck.
Yeah.
And I don't think people really feel that way. Like, no one looks at someone, it's like, I was defiled when I was young, and they're like, yuck. But I feel
touched.
like they feel like you look at them and you're like, yuck. Like, you, but it's not like that. So I think image could also be like a thing. You find they're not very confident and stuff like that.
What about that thing for when you grow up and then you start acting like a child? Do you think that's related to maybe trauma from the past, from being assaulted?
I'm not very sure. That thing where people just become childish all of a sudden.
Yes, like they dress like children.
I think, I don't know, maybe it happens to people that were forced to grow up too fast.
Okay.
Yeah, I
That
know it
makes more
is a
sense.
personality disorder to act inappropriately for your age. It can be caused by a number of reasons, and I think trauma could be one of them, But that'd be an interesting thing to read. I don't know why they act
We
like
should
that, but I've seen
research.
people that come out like that. Like they just grow up and they just want to have 7 puffs, and they just have like no, don't get me wrong. There are people that have a genuine like bubbly personality, and they just like to look cute, and then there's people that act inappropriate for the age that they are, and it usually looks deliberate, and I don't know.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm just imagining like 7 puffs. Anyway, so
By the time I almost did 7 puffs, I just dropped it when I cut my hair, and I was like, it's too much.
okay, so what about boys? I feel like we've talked a lot about girls being defiled. So what about boys? Like maybe why do you think boys don't usually come out? I know obviously the first one is they don't want to think that happened to them.
I think that's tough. I don't really get it with boys, like I don't understand their dynamic or reasoning, because you find a lot of women do come out. They write books, they share the experiences. I'm yet to see a book by like a male survivor. Maybe I just need to dig, or
Survivor market.
like when people are talking about rape and where women meet and they're talking about these things, like I don't know if boys have that conversation. I don't know, because I think some of the men I've talked to, they'll tell you like when they did lose their virginity, it was in their younger years, like when they should have been children. They were approached by someone significantly older than them inappropriately. They were touched inappropriately. But their reaction to that, I don't know, Mapalo, could you help us out? It seems
Yes, what do you
it seems
think?
a bit different, because like whereas to when women realize, oh, this is what happened and what, it's like it's viewed or negatively. For men, it's like, oh yeah, no, that's how I lost my virginity. Yeah, no, the first time I had a sexual encounter, a woman, my auntie's friend, I was helping out something, she touched me inappropriately, and I was like, oh, cool.
She
I'm
likes
being
me like
touched
that.
inappropriately. It's like, no, I feel bad. That wasn't supposed to happen. And they're like, no, it was chilled. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know how it works, but I think it's wrong. I think when I look at my brother, and he's quite young, and he'll be young for a long time. He's only 11. And like, I'm imagining
Jabu's
him,
11 now?
yo, Joe is 11.
You're old.
I think he
Wow.
turned 12. I have to check. But he's about that age. He's in grade 5.
Wow. Wow.
So, like, I can't just imagine, like, a woman just touching my brother, even if he turned, like, 16, 15. Like, I try to look at it like that because I can identify children. And that's not something I feel like he should be fine with. Like, when these male people I'm talking about were telling me, like, I just took it the way they were saying it. And it was heartbreaking. But if my brother had to tell me, I think I'd be genuinely upset. I think it would be inappropriate for someone my age to even show interest in him sexually. I think it's wrong. But when most men are telling you about these things, it doesn't sound like they think it's wrong. And I think that could also be a problem potentially.
It's how do I put it? I think in a sense, men are trained to be sexual beings, like from the get-go. Not from the get-go, maybe like when we start hitting our teenagers, like you're 13, 14, you're thinking, your hormones are kicking in, and then you're thinking, sex, doing. Stop, right? So, in most cases, most kids that age won't go for kids their age, right? It's like you just said. It's like most people lose their virginities with like people way older,
Yeah.
right? So they just like in your mind you're thinking you're getting lucky. They don't see it
Even
as
if it's not virginity, just inappropriate sexual interaction with
with an
someone
older.
older, I think most men have experienced in their lives, but then they'll never talk about it problematically.
Because they're thinking, they got lucky. Because kids, 15, your mind is, like I just said, chop, right? And at this point, you might have been exposed to porn. And what do you see in porn? Older women. Sometimes in those porn videos, there's categories: older women, younger kids, younger guy, younger MILF, right? And in your head, you're thinking, it's a MILF wants me, I mean, opportunity. Let me seize the opportunity, right? So that's most guys who have had sex before the age of 16 with women way older, like the 25, the 27, the 30s, and which is like most guys, majority have lost their virginities to people that age because the fantasies are coming true. So they don't see it as a problematic thing. They just think of it as me losing my virginity, as it's supposed to be, like
Like a
in porn,
natural thing.
like a
Because
natural
I
thing, like in
think,
porn. So they don't think of it as a problematic thing. They think of it as something happening naturally. It's only like in later years, maybe when you are exposed to a lot more, because you start thinking, what if my younger brother is the one in that position? Because personally, I don't have a younger brother or sister, but if my nephew is what? How old is Nelson? He turns 11 this year, right? Like you just said, he turns 11 this year. I wouldn't want someone my age going to him at, let me see what you can do. Like, what's mad? That's mad. That's a madness. Like, I think I would slap that person.
Yeah.
I would slap that person. Even my niece, like his older sister, how old is she? She's in grade what? 10, 11? But I wouldn't want someone my age trying to pursue her because she's a child, guys.
Yeah.
She's a child. Protect their innocence. So, guys, if you were 15 and you had sex with someone in their 20s, sakamana.
you are
Bad
defiled.
news.
I got bad news for you guys. You were taken advantage of. And it's sad that you were taken advantage of. But I wouldn't say the sooner you realize, the better. But I mean, it's okay to come to the realization that you were taken advantage of. But then again, as guys, you won't think of it as taken advantage of. You think of it as, it just happened. Anyway, the voice from behind disappears again.
I think like the only time you hear about it is in cases of like sodomy when
Yeah.
it's the unnatural relationship and then they're like, I was raped, and then it's a genuine sad story because anything on social media, I think no, a teacher got pregnant for the student. It's all jokes.
Oh, I saw that.
Everyone's laughing like,
Yeah.
hey, how did he get there? Big ups. What?
Big ups. People are actually saying that.
Like the
Wow.
first thing I do whenever I see like a post or what is just go to see the comment section interactions to see how people are reacting to a certain thing.
Like, remember how I said society will like always like, especially the male society, will always like uplift a younger guy who's had sex with an older woman. It's kind of like embedded in us.
So it's
So
like
do
a
you think it's a
mindset
problem?
thing.
It is a problem. It's very problematic.
How do you talk to the men then? No, don't let the women touch you. We shouldn't be
But the
laughing.
thing is that if you also tell his friends, I'm sure they'll also encourage him. Like, yeah, no,
Yeah, I know.
you're getting
From me, I
lucky.
doubt. Like,
And that's people your own age who are watching
Yeah.
the same porn you're watching.
Yeah,
Obviously,
okay.
sending each other the same videos. I say, look at this new one I saw, right?
again, porn is a culprit.
Porn,
Yeah.
like, especially
So
for
serious.
teenagers, porn is like the biggest culprit because it's setting a very what's the word?
Unrealistic.
It's setting a very unrealistic perceptions towards sex. So thinking because they're already trained. This is how sex is supposed to be had. This is how I'm supposed to be doing this, and yeah, it's sad. Don't watch porn, guys. It sucks.
If you watch porn, this is your sign to stop watching porn today.
Especially if you watch porn and you don't understand that it's that's not that that's
It's
That's
fake.
not sex.
It's
that's not
practiced.
sex.
It's
It's really just
rehearsed.
it's
There are a
really
lot of takes.
yeah. It's a facade. It's not how sex is supposed to be had. But yeah, yeah, man. Uh,
So, in conclusion, for the men and the boys out there, you just have to change your mindset. Older boys, you have to realize that it's not okay for an older lady to touch a minor like that, and teach that to your children. To your children.
Like,
To
yeah, they're
your
younger people. Tell them it's not okay. They
yeah.
should know it's not okay. I feel like it's very uncomfortable, even though you put on this,
This armor. You think you're some tough guy.
like it's not okay. And that's okay. And that's what you need to be telling people, that it's not okay to be touched. You tell your brother it's not okay.
Anyway, so what else for the men?
Stop watching porn.
It's just how you say it.
I'm appealing.
Yes, stop watching porn. So what advice do you think we should give to the people out there? Because for the children, we already said.
I think the advice we'll give, it won't be like anything new. It will be, as a society, I guess the question is like, what can we do to prevent such problems, right?
To the best of our ability.
Exactly. You look at other countries, they don't have crazy cases like this. Maybe they do. How do they keep it under control? What can we do as a community to contribute? Because, it's not up to one person, it's not up to one faculty.
It takes a
This
village.
is a problem that affects all of us. And if you're not infected, you're affected. I don't know, somehow it will affect you. Because it's a rising pandemic and this could genuinely happen to anyone you care about. Ways you could even be the one doing this thing. I've been watching the podcast. But I think
Crazy. We're saying about the Shimi viewers.
no. They're great people. But I think one thing we can do is a lot of things people are already saying, like we need to like stand up, and take a stand, especially now that it's getting out of control. I've seen people are marching everywhere. I know there was supposed to be a march.
Yes, we were supposed to
it
have a
was
march today,
cancelled.
but it was cancelled.
And that's good, because people need to feel supported, and we need to make sure that we all stand up and we're like, we're against this. As a family, if your sibling rapes someone, if your uncle rapes someone, you should have that moral thing to stand up and be like, you are going to jail.
In
I'll
as much
report
as
you.
that's
You
your
need to have
favorite
that
cousin.
resolve. Like, I know people try to, when it comes to people you love, you try to like, no, but you try to reason with them. And yes, there could be reasons why people do this. They could have been raped. They could genuinely be sick. I don't know what reasons they may have, but that doesn't make it right. And, just not supporting these people, yeah, it's not enough. Like, no, I know someone who raped someone. Report them. They'll forgive you eventually if you know someone. Support people in a family. If you know what's going on, stand up with that person, because God knows they need someone to be their strength, or a community of people to stand with them during that trying time. It's just being totally against these. There are things we can advocate for but not push for directly, like the increase in the penalty for people who
For
defile and the
the
rapists. We can't say rape the rapists, but
as much as we'd like to.
exactly. But they could increase the level of punishment so as to discourage such behaviors. And I think if people are adamant about it, if people are speaking out, people only do these things comfortably because of how comfortable we've let it become. It's like, oh, someone raped someone, and someone who was raped, and you leave it there. You're not following it through. You're not like pushing. You're not advocating. They know nothing's going to happen to them. Like, who's going to push these? Who's going to what? But if that thing was there, I think it would become a more scary thing to do. Yeah.
Also, just educating the children. They should know that this shouldn't happen to them, and teaching them in areas that aren't just at home, like even at school, at church, and they should also have safe spaces where they feel like they can talk about these things. So yeah, I think that's also
What
one
do you
of the
think
ways that. Pardon?
about castration as a punishment?
It's the best punishment, I think.
I think that
Because
100%
there'll be
ensures
ensures what?
that it won't happen again.
Also, they'll be traumatized, I think, because they don't have the facilities.
I know, but then
Exactly.
they won't have. Okay, I don't know. I don't think they'll have that temptation anymore, and maybe they can also finally be on the road to redemption themselves somehow.
Maybe they'll find Jesus.
I remember watching, sorry, The Voice from Beyond. Sorry, guys, The Voice from Beyond here. I remember watching, I don't know what show, I don't remember what show that was, but there was a guy who used to, he said he had fantasies, right, of being with children, but he never went through with it because he knew it was wrong, right? So he went to the hospital and he was like, castrate me.
Was that like a documentary?
No, it was like a series.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a series. I don't think that will actually happen in real life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's wild. But it's good, I guess, in a sense, but it's wild. But Mandem went to the hospital, like, hey, cut me. Like, vigilant chap. Now, Manje, the doctors were like, I don't think we can, like, actually cut you because, I mean, have you
Yeah,
done it?
you don't have a reason.
Reason.
It's very hard to just do things. It can be looked on as malpractice. Like, what
Exactly.
if he's not mentally okay? Like, why are you just cutting? There's no
Like,
disease.
there's no disease, like, you haven't actually done it yet. But the thing is that you can't wait for him to do it. So it's very, like, morally great if you think about it. Like, we understand your struggle, and it's good that you're coming forward with your struggle. But then again, you haven't done it yet. But then again, don't do it, because if you do it, we have to cut you. So, like, where do you stand in this situation? Let's put it, this doctor, right? A person comes to you like, hey, I've been having fantasies of sleeping with children. I want you to castrate me because I don't want to do that.
consult the consultant. Because I think that would be a peculiar case, but it's very admirable because when such temptations arise, and like if you can't have a normal sexual relationship and that's the only one your body is craving, sometimes it's an unrealistic expectation to like, no, he's going to stop. Like, some people know that they'll never stop. I think I saw something for like prisoners and what, and he was murdering people. And I think he said like after his third person, like he knew, like he's just never going to stop. And I feel like some people know in their hearts, like this is like I'm messed up and this is me. Like they try to get help, and I think it should be an option. I think it really should. Um, As for medical grounds on whether it's allowed or not, I'm not sure. I think you'd need to sign a waiver, like I did this against medical advice. Like me, I said no, but you insisted.
We did constitute to cosmetic surgery.
Yes.
Oh.
Because what else is it? Yeah, like you just want it removed. Like you've given your reason, but if I, as a medical professional, can't like I'm not comfortable with it because people just sue people anyhow. If I'm not comfortable with it, I can tell you like, okay, but you need to sign that you want to do this against my advice, so that we
So
both
you
do
can't
like
sue
this,
me.
because people, you might come back in future, no, why did you do this? I wasn't mentally well, you didn't do a mental evaluation. Like, I'm not saying it would happen, but you just imagine like these things.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're going on a break now, the final break, and we just come to say our goodbyes. Say bye for now, guys.
Bye for now.
See, you learned now. You learned. That's how you do it. Hey guys, the voice from beyond, Paulo again. We are here to say goodbye. How do you feel about the episode, guys?
Feel good.
You feel good about that? Okay, Namasi Wale.
I think it went good. Yeah, I think it went good. I enjoyed this conversation, Chivale.
I enjoyed it too, Wesa.
All right. Anyway, thanks for coming, guys. I hope you can come through. This is April. It's sexual assault awareness month, right? Yeah. So it was a fitting episode for the fitting month. So thank you for watching. You can say our goodbyes now, guys. Do you want to say bye?
Bye-bye.
No, say something before you say bye.
Say something. You put me on the spot.
Say something. I'm giving up on you.
Thank you for having us on the show. Yes. You've said something.
Wesa, say something more.
I was just thinking about the Teletubbies and how they say bye. It's time for Telly bye-bye. Bye. No, but thank you guys for tuning in and thank you for having me. I really hope that the defilement cases continue to come up and people continue to stand and continue to support the victims. And I think there's more that we can do and there'll be more that we could be doing to support them, because I do understand that some people, like after they come out, they have nowhere to live. And I know people are coming up with like stuff to help with that, and that's great. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to a better community where people stand up for people that can't stand up for themselves.
Okay, that is great. Are we coming back again?
It's time to go.
No, I didn't. No, I did not. As in coming back.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You're coming back again? Okay, cool. Chibale?
Yes.
All right, cool. I will have more topics for you guys. And anyway, this is bye from the voice from beyond. I mean, be the radio guy.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.